Nope. Wait. Okay. Hello. Welcome to the Political 13-Year-Old Show, where I'm 13 and I talk politics. And damn, it wasn't. It was just one of those weeks where nothing really happened. Although before we start the show, I would like to ask you guys, by your generosity, if you can go over my link. The link is in my bio to my Patreon. It is the most helpful thing on earth for me to get funds to resource all my stuff, and it helps out the show. It goes directly to the show, so I'm not stealing your money to go get 2K or anything like that ever happened. But in all seriousness, it goes directly into the show. I have big plans on what I want to do with the studio right now. I'm going to have it all over my room instead of just this one corner. So it helps out a lot in that aspect. And you also get rewards, which is great. And all it is for just a price for a small coffee, you can help the show a ton. If everyone watching right now were to give the $2 member, you would not only get rewards, but you would also be helping the show a ton. So just for $2 a month, you just literally just save 10 cents every 3 days. Just put 10 cents, like a dime, and just put it over by a jar. You will help me a ton. So do that. The link is in my bio. And it also helps me pay poor Tommy, who, if you guys didn't notice, was not here today. That's right. Something came up. It's a little hush-hush. But he wasn't able to come here today, but he will be here on Tuesday. Thank God. All right. So for today's show, we are going to be taking live calls. We have like 2 guests today. We have one of the bloggers from Deplorables in Crime, Andy, who's a great friend to the show. He's welcome anytime he wants. He's a good guy. He always complains about his high-pitched voice, but he will be on today to talk about the rise of the rise of nationalism in Europe, which has people minds bobbling. But we also have on Incredible Hulk to talk about Trump's military or interventionist efforts in the Middle East, which that's going to be the topic right now. But before we do that, have you guys been watching 13 Reasons Why? I started binge watching before the show, 4 or 5 hours before the show, and I literally 30 minutes before I had to start, I'm still watching. I'm like, oh, I have to go to the show, but I want to keep watching. I'm definitely going to be doing that after. I mean, I'm on episode 4, and I'm not going to give any spoilers because anything I say will spoil it for you. It's such a great. I mean, is that a spoiler? I don't know how that works, but it's a great show. You guys should check it out. It's on Netflix. 13 Reasons Why. But anywho, Trump yesterday or the day before that bombed Afghanistan with the MOAB. If you don't know what the MOAB is, it stands for the mother of all bombs, and which is quite funny because Russia has the phobe, which is the father of all bombs, and when the MOAB and the phobe come together, they make a bunch of baby MIFOBs, which is wonderful, and it makes all these cute tiny bombs. No, but he did launch the MOAB, which is 32 feet long. That's let's see, it's 6 and 2/7 of me. So just imagine 6 and 2/7 of me. I'm not very tall, but just imagine that. That's how long the bomb is. I'm around 5'4", so no 5'5". So yeah, 32 feet, and and it's around what was it, 10, 14,000? Yeah, for like I think that's underestimating there, but it definitely hit like the high thousands. It is huge, and it had a radius of like a mile or more than that. I think I saw some that said 10 miles, which is crazy, and it killed 32 ISIS militants, which is kind of depressing. I mean, it's great that we killed 32 ISIS militants, but with something that huge, that's all you can do. I mean, and another thing that I hate about this is that Republicans are now coming out like, yes, he's finally doing something against ISIS, unlike Obama, who did nothing. Obama dropped at least, like I talked about this on the show. He dropped at least, I don't know, 60,000 or what was the number? I keep forgetting stuff. It was around 60,000 bombs on ISIS in the Middle East in general. So I don't know what they're talking about now. It's just politics in general, and that's how they're going to be doing things, which is every time, and this is what I feared about Trumpians, which is what Trump is going to do is he's going to do the exact same thing as Obama, blame Obama that he had to do it, and then Trumpians would be like, "Oh, well, this is different," and he's doing it for real now, like a strong leader. I mean, they'll crack any excuse for this guy. They were complaining before that Obama was involved in the Middle East. Like, we get our sons and daughters out of there. We need what are we doing over there? We must bring them back. Why are you bringing us in the Middle East? And now they're like, yes, now we're finally doing something. It's insane. And we didn't get to talk about the Syria rushing bombings that much on the show, but we did. What time did we start? It's only been 3 minutes of me yapping. The show goes by way too small, but I mean, the show goes by way too slow. Yeah. I get nervous in front of the camera, if you guys didn't know. That's why I keep stuttering. But libertarians are not happy, obviously. Why should they be? I mean, they're the whole platform of why the hell are we in the Middle East? And the funny part is that libertarians weren't as hard on Obama as they are on Trump. That's what I'm noticing now. Like Trump, like the Libertarian Party is going after Trump, saying that he should be impeached, going that far for doing this, and yet they, I mean, and they're calling him an unlegitimate president. At the same time, they nominated one of the biggest goofballs in politics ever. Besides me, I'm the real goofball. Like, I'm the smart goofball. He's a stupid goofball. And I thought it was quite funny that they're calling him an illegitimate president, and at the same time, they were supporting this guy who literally smoked weed, like days before one of his speeches in rallies. So I thought that was quite funny of them. But who takes the Libertarian Party serious anymore? I can't get my lighting right. Hold on, let's see if I can do this. All right. Sorry for all the noise. It's just my little brother. He's having a problem because he can't get chocolate, and his room is right next to mine, so he's banging on the doors. But another thing that I found funny was SJWs are obviously going crazy about this. Like, what would you do if your family was in the Middle East? Like, how would you react? Would you be praising this? And all I'm thinking is, where were you when Obama did this? Like, the tables are kind of turning now, because I'm calling out conservatives because they're obviously back. Well, Trump conservatives who are backing Trump. Like, yes, he's finally doing something. Like, hey, where were you when Obama dropped 60,000 bombs? And then SJWs are getting mad at him for doing this and getting involved in the Middle East. Where were you when Obama dropped 60,000 bombs? So obviously everyone is in the wrong here, and this is why I really hate the Republican Party. This is why I hate the political system in general. I hate the Libertarian Party. I hate really all political parties. The only one that I really get down with is the House Freedom Caucus, and it's not even a party. It's just a bunch of people who just vote with the Republicans mostly. But I actually saw this meme today where it was like, dropping bombs for peace is like fucking for virginity. I started laughing at that because I mean it's kind of true. No one's gonna come on and be like, I mean no one's going to drop a bomb for peace. The whole argument for peace through strength is, if we're strong enough, we will be able to take out anyone who poses a threat to the good people in society and all over the world. And I find that that quite imposing, because how can we help a neighbor when the neighbor may not want our help at all? With what's going on in whatchamacallit, in Israel, they want our help. It's very obvious they want our help. They keep asking for aid, and obviously we give it to them because they're our greatest ally. But it's with other things, like in Syria, when babies are having these bombs, are having these bomb drop on them, and the chemical weapons with Bashar al-Assad. Those people made it very clear they wanted our help. But at the same time, who are we? When are we going to? When does it stop? Because it's hard to admit, but it's true. In this world, there are plenty of terrible leaders, and I mean terrible, gruesome leaders who don't deserve the right to lead. But that's not our responsibility. Someone has to fix it, and that's why we have the UN. I don't necessarily like the UN, but it's the idea of the UN that I like. There's also NATO. It is not one country's job to say this is not right. It's a coalition that's supposed to be right. I mean, that's pretty much how it's supposed to be. The majority decides whether something is right or wrong, and obviously NATO decided that was wrong, and he's getting the U.S. is getting backed by NATO, obviously. But I don't think there was much else in the news. I would like to talk about interventionism versus non-interventionism for a second before we have on Credible Hulk. I'm not very sure where he's at right now. I don't know if he's interventionist or not non-interventionist. He clearly doesn't like Ron Paul, calling him an old man and everything. Which, I mean, I can get he's unrealistic. But I mean, people calling Ron Paul an old delusional man. The guy has had one of the greatest successful congressional careers ever. I don't have his stats. I mean, I wish Congress members had like baseball cards, like they had their own cars, and you could see their stats, like how many bills did they pass in, or what their stats were. That'd be an interesting idea. But there's just so many out there that I can't really do it. But with calling Ron Paul a delusional old man, he was the first libertarian ever to get one electoral vote, and that's when he was retired. He also has his own news segment. It's called the Liberty Report, but I don't know who employed him and what company he works for. But he's a very smart man, and he has some pretty interesting ideas. What I hate is when people with new ideas are being called delusional when it's never been tried. That's the biggest thing that I hate. When something isn't tried, doesn't mean that it's necessarily right. Like, for example, technically communism has never been tried. We all know that's not the case, but that's what they're saying. So, but we all know that it's a terrible idea, that communism has never worked. We don't have to be like, oh, it was never tried, because we know as logical people that it's a failure in economic ideology. But when it comes to just libertarianism in general and pure capitalism, which is proven not to have existed ever, and which has been admitted by communists Two, that it's never been tried, and I hate it when people are always telling me that sorry, that people who believe these things are delusional. Maybe Ron Paul is somewhat unrealistic, but why not just step aside and say maybe this can work, instead of always pushing your agenda and saying no, this can't work because my agenda says, my political party says. That's the biggest things that get on my nerves. So let's get to non-interventionism versus interventionism. Sipping on some liberal tears. Basically, what people don't understand what interventionism versus non-interventionism, so I'll explain. So when I first saw in non-interventionism and interventionism, what I thought was, okay, so you intervene by, if there's a war going on, then you go into the war or not. That was kind of the case. What foreign policy in general is there, either you get involved or you don't. That's just the baseline of foreign policy in general. Do you get involved or not? And what interventionism is when there's a foreign affair off of shores, and you don't know or like what's going on, and it's not right, or it's causing a conflict, you get involved. You send either military troops, diplomats, or whatever the case is, and you step in. And what that is doing is it is rooting a it is rooting a precedent that your country doesn't stand for what that other country is doing. What are my critiques with this? No country is the world police. It's not up to one country to decide this is okay and this isn't. If that were the case, that is by definition totalitarianism, because after all, in society, there you can't have one person saying that this is right and this is wrong. There are some things that are objectively wrong as humans, and that's not like something that we should be ashamed of. But it's not. That's like, it's okay. Well, let's say that there's a bully. Okay, there's a bully, and everyone knows this bully. But let's say this one kid goes, okay, fine. This bully is doing something bad. I'm gonna go beat him up. Well, great. Now what you've done is great. You beat up that bully, but the person who was getting bullied was his friend. And it's kind of like, wait, you're his friend? Yeah, I'm his friend, and this is why. And that's why I hate foreign policy, and I hate just doing anything other than what's happening in our country in general, because there's just so many stuff going on. Like, wait, he was bullying you. Yeah, but he's my friend. You don't understand. and you're stuck here, and now you're involved, and you have to fix for this. You just pissed off two people because you just beat up his friend, and you just beat up someone who's a bully and is 10 times stronger than you. Well, he's not stronger if you beat him up, but like, let's say you got him by surprise. You maybe like gave him a black eye or something. No, he's pissed off. So he just pissed off to a friend and a bully. and then there's just other ties, like the teacher, and the teacher gets involved, and then you have the principal, and you have the whole school district getting involved, and that's why I hate interventionism. And then there's the other side, non-interventionism, which is, so basically, if there's a foreign conflict or a foreign affair, pretty much the country doesn't get involved unless there's something called, I think it was the Benjamin Franklin or the Andrew Jackson. I'm going to say Benjamin Franklin good neighbor policy, which is, if your friend is in need or your ally is in need of help, you help them. If they are not, and they say, okay, you don't have to get involved, you don't get involved unless they go onto your shores. Then that's the time to invade and blah blah blah. Now, my critiques of this: non-interventionists are a little too skeptical. Though whenever something happens, they'll always be like, well, I think we should do this, to solve this problem. No, because World War III. No, because World War III. And you keep on hearing this, no, because World War III, all this, junk. and that's pretty much their only argument, and it's become a straw man now that they just have to point to four characters, which is WWII, and they suddenly walk around victorious because they think they won. And that's my critiques of non-interventionism. So where do I stand? um I don't think that we should just be going into other countries and whenever we think something is wrong, but I do think there is a certain point in time that we must invade, because even if they aren't our allies and they need our help, that can also benefit us because we have another ally, but also that it keeps balance and peace in the world, and that's what we want. Do I think that we should buff up our military? Probably. In the state of the world right now, we definitely need a huge military. Um, uh, but when is the time to invade? When they become a threat to us, our neighbors, or our allies, or potential potential allies, and people who, even if they're neutral, if they're asking for our help, we should give them our help if they are in need of it or deserve it. Mm. All right, I think we're gonna take a quick little break here. Next up, we will be having on Credible Hulk. That's right. And right after that, we'll be having on Andy from the blog on Instagram, Deplorables in Crime. Stay tuned for that right here on the show. See you guys then. All right. Mm, mm. Hello. Welcome back. So it seems as if the Credible Hulk stood me up, but that's okay because we are having on Andy from the Plurables in Crime in 30 minutes later. But as before we do that, let's talk a little bit about the Neil Gorsuch, because he's or no, North Korea, actually, before we get on to Neil Gorsuch. So what I left out in the news is that tensions between North Korea and the US are at an all-time high. So Trump this week told the world that he will join in with China to talk about how to deal with Kim Jong-un, because he said that if the Chinese won't want to come together to figure out a way to stop their neighbors North Korea, in conjunction with the U.S., that they will find a way to to fight them and take care of them, or deal with them rather. Take care of them seems a little comforting. Careful, we want to kill him. I actually believe that, which is quite funny, Kim Jong-un went to a Western school. I mean, we had the chance to take him out then, but we didn't. But the North Korea actually responded back with saying that they're ready to fight, pretty much, except they're not. They Kim Jong-un knows that if he even tries going to war with the U.S. in any way, he'll get his ass whooped. It will be an absolute bloodbath. We would slaughter him, and we would probably make North Korea our new territory. Because I mean, do you see what's their population? What, like 14 million? Last time I checked. I'll check right now. North. Population. So let's take a look at that. Oh no. Okay, I got it. Okay, 24.9 million. Oh, well, South Korea. Okay, so I was off by like one number. I said 14, but South Korea, the capitalists, which have like a smaller land, have 50.22 million. So I mean, that's just saying something. But I do feel bad for North Korea. I mean, for the Koreans there. I mean, can you imagine being in a world where you are taught that your ruler is your god, and that you pretty much you have to work, and you can't own anything, and if you do anything that that upsets your ruler, you'll be imprisoned, will be murdered, or you will suffer in camps. I mean, he's learning from Stalin with this sort of behavior, and they're just taught on the news that this guy's some sort of god, that he doesn't even have to pee or poop. Like in the interview, which I thought was a really funny movie. That does he have to pee or poop? No, he has no need to. I actually learned that defecating means pooping in that movie. It's like the scientific term. So props to you on that. The interview. But I mean, North Korea has been a huge problem for a long time. We've yet to find a way to, handle them, because we've been too like nice with them. We've had a reluctance to deal with them. We're kind of like those dads who are like pointing, or no, like China mostly, where they're kind of like those dads, where like the white dad who's always like saying, "I'm going to punish you, like keep on doing this, like I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna get you," and then after that, like kind of lets it go after a while, after he like threw him in his room or whatever, he goes, "Okay, but next time it's gonna be different. There's gonna be real consequences." And I think that now it's time that the U.S. kind of goes, okay, it's gonna get bad soon, because I mean, this has been a problem since 2003, when they first admitted was it 2003? I think that I keep on thinking that I'm giving you guys the wrong facts and I sound like a complete idiot. Yeah, but I think it was in 2003 when they admitted to having nuclear weapons. And then, the test, it was after that, it was just testing after testing after testing after testing. And now they're threatening nuclear war. But the truth is that sooner or later, we're going to invade. Once the tensions become high, we're going to invade. Nothing around that. And if we do get, by God's mercy, if we get Putin's help with this, oh my gosh, I mean, Russia is the nuclear superpower of the world. I think they're tied with America. But I mean, can you imagine a world where Putin it comes in conjunction with Trump and China? I mean, Kim Jong-un's kind of in his room, like right now, like, okay, like kind of like sniffling almost after getting a beating from your dad. Like, you remember getting a beating from your dad, or like not even getting a beating, just like being scolded by them, like arguing at you, and you kind of felt bad, so you're like, and you're crying to yourself, and you feel bad, but after those feeling bad moments, you're just like, oh, that's it, I'm gonna fight back, I'm gonna retaliate. And then after that, your other parent gets involved, whether it's your mom and your dad, and then just go ham on you. That's what's gonna happen. Except now, Uncle Putin is coming in to whoop your ass too. So how do I think we're gonna deal with this? Well, I think it's gonna start when Kim Jong-un's like, either he's going to bomb a military base in South Korea, or do we have any bases in China? I don't believe so. But he will bomb some sort of military base. He won't dare to bomb a city, because that will piss off everyone. But he will, I think, bomb a military base first. We're going to have to, or I think that Trump will probably keep his eye on him, and then, bomb some sort of military base. And then after that, all hell breaks loose. People had their eye on this for a while. I didn't necessarily. North Korea kind of seemed like a problem in the shadows, like maybe in the next 2 decades. But I mean, there was like a rapid growth in like how their nuclear program is going. I mean, from 2003 to now, they've had much better success. I mean, yes, there's been a couple failures here and there, which have helped us. Because it gives us more time to prepare. But I think that this is going to be one of those issues where we kind of have to put our eye on it, and then once it gets to a point where we're on the brink of war, we get prepared. They're going to do something, and hopefully we'll figure out, but we'll be alerted before then, and right after that, we strike. And with the issue of North Korea, that was like a democratic talking point. It was kind of like Russia. It's kind of like a Russian talking point. And I think now it's become like an actual issue. Most people actually had their eye on this beforehand. I didn't. I like I said, I kind of thought it was going to be something in like two or 3 decades. But it's becoming a bigger issue, and I mean, hold on, is that from Hulk? My Wi-Fi has gone out. Oh no! Okay, so we've just been alerted by Roman that his Wi-Fi got out, and I'm not going to use data for Hangout. Even just your voice. Oh no, because I mean I put this on my bio, so I'm gonna have to take that out if you can't join. Uh, he's typing now. I hate doing this. None of my guests can get their crap together. Like, I'll see if I can hijack another signal. Okay, keep me posted. All right, so he gave me his email. I'm going to add him to the conversation or whatever. And I guess invite me. Okay. I I just invited him to the chat. He should be calling in now. I mean, this is great now, obviously, because he's finally getting his stuff. Bucket, but I won't be able to stay as long. Invite me. Okay. Just did. All right, he should be coming on now. Thank God. Cuz and by the way, we are taking live calls, so you can call me at 786-239-2018. And we'll put you on the show for whatever questions or whatever you want to talk about. Please, when you're asking a question, please stay on so that we can actually discuss instead of you just asking me a question. Just, hey, finally, what happened, bro?
My Wi-Fi's out.
Yeah. Well, this is Credible Hulk. You can find him on Instagram at credible or at _credible _Hulk. Is that all?
Yeah, basically. Check out my Twitter too.
Oh yeah, it's Twitter. That's on your Instagram, I'm sure. So you've been pretty vocal about what's happening with Syria and just the Middle East in general. And now that the whole Trump getting involved even more, he's the 60 strikes on Syria, and now the MOAB that went on in Afghanistan. You're getting on non-interventionist now. So I just have one question: are you an interventionist?
It depends on the situation.
Or
It's
not?
not.
Yeah.
It's not as strict one way or the other. It depends on the context and basically what's happening in the world.
All right.
I'm not the kind of person who's like, I'm never going to intervene. I'm always going to intervene.
Yeah. I mean, I get that. That's pretty much where I'm at too. But why are you getting on non-interventionist right now?
Well, I mean, in Syria, I've been wanting to intervene there for a while, but I guess referring to maybe North Korea. It's like,
not necessarily North Korea, but like with what happened in Syria, because non-interventionists, I thought, I mean, the whole what interventionists are saying is, oh, they're just claiming they'll start World War III.
Well, I supported the Syria bomb strikes.
You did?
Yes.
Okay, but there's a couple problems with the non-interventionists, because I do somewhat agree with Trump, and the strikes there, but I'll feed you the two problems and see what your take on it is. So there was the point that the airports, that one of the airports that he did strike was protecting a Christian village, and now that Christian village is left, alone out there to dry, for ISIS to come and waltz in and do whatever they want to do. So, I mean, what's your take on that?
Well, I've actually never heard this, but I guess my quick response would be the Syrian Air Force was launching strikes from that air base the next day. Like the plan was not to take the air base out of commission. The runways were not struck, so they could still run airstrikes out of the base.
But is that 100% proven that it was?
Yes, them? Like there were videos of Syrian Air Force posted of them launching strikes, and there's no evidence that any of the runways were hit.
All right, but what is the motive for Bashar al-Assad? Because I mean, there's no real motive for him to launch chemicals on his own citizens.
Well, that's not really true at all, in my opinion. The fact is, this entire war, Bashar al-Assad strategy, has been basically to slaughter civilians. He's done this with chlorine gas. He's done this with I'll get that in a second. Give me a second.
Okay.
Cluster bombs, barrel bombs, basically every weapon that massively kills civilians, he's used. That's basically been the strategy. And the basic military tactics strategies behind this is simple. Once you kill your civilians, you can destroy your population. you basically force your opposition back. It's basically, I guess, almost a reverse scorched earth. Instead of retreating, you're going forward.
So that's kind of his way of defeating, of winning the
Yes.
Civil War.
Yes, basically, there's not been an instance where a side has won a battle while without basically destroying everything around. He won Aleppo by basically destroying Aleppo.
And what is Aleppo?
Aleppo is, I'm not really sure. Is that, I guess, a missile system or something? I think.
Come on, dude. We made fun of Gary Johnson for this. You have to know what Aleppo is.
It's a city in Syria.
All right. So what about with the whole Afghanistan issue? Because we've now seen that conservatives are, getting on Obama because they're saying, well, finally Trump has done something, but Obama bombed the Middle East at least 60,000 times.
Yeah, Obama bombed a lot. My problem with Obama is when he bombed, it wasn't in any, I guess, competent way. There wasn't a strategy behind it. And now what else do you what'd you say?
What?
There wasn't any strategy behind what Obama was doing.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I think that's also true for Trump.
Yeah. But with the whole MOAB, I mean, it is a huge bomb.
It's one of the largest non-nuclear bombs in existence.
Yeah, and he only killed 32 people.
Well, there's another report coming around today saying it killed 100 people. So there's not really a solid number for that yet.
Oh, wait, someone said that they killed 100 people?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it did say 36 ISIS
36
militants.
Yeah.
So there could have been some civilian casualties.
Maybe. I haven't been looking at it that closely. So.
Yeah, and what about the case with North Korea?
What do you mean, like why I'm against them intervening there?
No, like, you're against intervening there?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, explain.
So my basic case is, since the 1960s, we've been able to maintain about 50 years of peace in the peninsula. And while North Korea is awful, the fact is, invading, toppling the regime would cost massive U.S. casualties. It would be extremely difficult and just all around, I think, a bad idea.
But North Korea is like the biggest, or one of the biggest nuclear threat, because there are other countries with nuclear weapons, but they don't pose a threat. And even Russia doesn't pose as much of a threat as North Korea. So how do we deal with this?
Really, in the end, this is a situation where the United States is between a rock and a hard place. I think it really isn't a good option. So I think the bad option is not to invade North Korea and not to get stuck occupying.
What if they strike us first?
And that situation is very different. That's when they've struck us.
We would obliterate them, though.
I think people overestimate how hard it would be. North Korea's air defense system, while old, is still very, very tough to penetrate. And beyond that, their army is I think like 2 million active soldiers. Even if they're just armored AKs, that's going to be a lot of people to deal with.
So
just massive quantity of soldiers.
So the Air Force wouldn't be a good idea.
I mean, they would be able to take out air defenses, but North Korea has a very elaborate system of air defenses.
All right. Well, what if we came in conjunction though with Russia and China? I mean, think like the three biggest nuclear superpowers in the world.
Well, again, China's interest depends on how we would handle the after effects. China wants to have a buffer state with South Korea, so they don't have an American ally on their border.
Yeah.
So China would be much more willing to work with us if they basically were able to keep a proxy state on the border between them and South Korea.
But North Korea is bound to invade. They're not doing this nuclear thing, for shoots and ladders or like truth or dare.
They've been saber rattling. North Korea has for 4 decades now, 5 decades.
They
killed the South Korean prime minister like 40 years ago.
That was with another prime minister.
Yeah, but they've been saber rattling forever. I mean, it's not like they're ever very peaceful.
They've just gotten nuclear weapons.
I think it was like a decade ago, or maybe a little less.
I think it was 2003.
Okay, a little more than a decade ago.
Yeah, but I mean, it was pretty recent. I mean, 2003 is not long ago. It's like a year before my birth. So that they've had these weapons, and their progress. I mean, from what less than 10 or more than 10, a little more than 10 years, they've been progressing very rapidly. From 2003 when they admitted to having nuclear weapons to now when they have hydrogen bomb capabilities. Are you okay there? I
Yeah,
just want to make
sorry.
sure. Okay.
I just ate some food.
So I mean, this is definitely they're definitely bound to do something, and my strategy is keep their eye on them, and then once we're at a tension where we're at the brink of war, prepare, and then they're going to strike one military base or something, and then right after that, invade or yeah, probably invade.
I would agree to stay aware of what's happening in North Korea and prepare for a situation. And if they were to attack, I would definitely support retaliation, but I don't support a preemptive strike. I think that would just create a massive mess in the peninsula, and could very easily escalate up to a World War III. Actually, escalate.
But with the whole case of like North Korea in general, were you expecting this? Like, was it like a oh yeah, it was bound to happen, or were you like me and it was like, oh, it's probably going to be an issue for like a decade or two?
I mean, I can't say I've been paying attention to North Korea that much. This is definitely the worst it's gotten. That seems to me it's been getting worse over the last few years. Just um, loosely paying attention to it. I'd say I'm surprised it's this bad, but I still think there's very much potential for it to de-escalate back down.
Yeah. All right. So where can people reach you, buddy?
On Instagram at _credible_Hulk, and all my other information is there.
All right. And are you going to be having a YouTube channel? Because like all these questions are from the fans, and they're asking, are you going to be having your own YouTube channel?
I mean, right now I've been working with Capitalist America. We have our own. Just Google search Capitalist America, or I have links in my bio for it too.
Yeah.
And I just operate with him right now. We do debates and we do a podcast and stuff like that.
All right. Yeah. All right. So thanks for coming on, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
No problem. All right. Next up, we'll be having on Andy from the blog, on Instagram, The Plurables in Crime. So stay tuned for that right here on the show. See you guys then. No, that's good. Alright. I just did like an accidental dab there. But hello, we have on very special guest today. We have on Andy from the blog on Instagram, Deplorables in Crime. Great friend of the show. How you doing, buddy?
Thanks for having me on. I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. All right. So I came on. I asked you to come on today because you being very involved in Northern European politics.
As well as French and all, but yeah.
Yeah, like Europe in general.
Yeah.
You're very vocal about your nationalistic opinions, and I mean that's very clear with your username.
Of course.
But we've seen with these refugee in
the Islamic invasion.
Yeah, in attacks, most importantly attacks that have happened with the cause of mass immigration of Islam in being imported into East or Europe or Western Europe. So and that has caused just a rising of nationalism and European populism in Europe. So did you see this coming?
Of course I did, because there's only so much people are going to take before they start pushing back. You got Manuel Valls, the former Prime Minister of France, saying France has to live with terrorism. The London Mayor Sadiq Khan says that terrorism is part of living in a big city. Merkel says...
I saw that one.
Merkel says that... Merkel and the mayor of Berlin say that just the simple rise of moderate nationalists in Germany means the Nazis are returning. People are sick and tired of this identity politics nonsense and having people flooded in who don't share Western values, who follow a barbaric 7th century death code that supports pedophilia and all kinds of other disgusting crimes. People are sick of it, and they're seeing through the lies of the left and the lies of the fake right. They're seeing through it all.
Yeah. So, but we are talking about just a good majority of refugees because there are, of course, like most Muslims are good. We can agree on that.
Oh yeah, but the problem is they bring the most radical into Europe. Not even from Western friendly countries like Bosnia or Albania. I mean, and there is questions on there, but they tend to be more friendly than like Syrians, Iraqis, you name it.
Yeah.
They bring the absolute worst. They're not bringing the doctors, the chemists. Wait, is chemistry allowed in Islam?
I think it is, as long as it doesn't disprove donkeys going into the moon.
Don't you mean goats going into I'm not going to get you censored on YouTube.
No, it's fine. I'm already age restricted, but that's true.
You're age restricted.
They age restricted one of my videos. And I think
how depressing.
Yeah, they age restricted a 13-year-old. Hold on, I'm gonna go get my headphones. But while I do that, with the whole thing in Netherlands, do you think it was their last chance with that election? Do you think that pretty much the fake right wingers are gonna be should have been exposed, and if they're not, then they're pretty much done in Netherlands because of the whole immigration crisis there?
Well, it depends. Okay, 1 minute.
No, go ahead.
All right. So the VVD leader, Prime Minister Rutte, said that he was going to run on immigration controls and that kind of thing. The Netherlands' survival depends on how authentic he really is. If he goes in a coalition with the Greens, that's it. Forget it. If they go into coalition with a more sensible party, the Christian Union, then there is hope. But it depends on the problem. It depends on whether the Christian Union gets drained by the Amsterdam swamp.
Yeah. Let's go into Sweden, because that was like the huge thing that we talked about when you were
Yep.
last on. There was a Stockholm attack. Was it last week?
There was an attack in Stockholm which killed 4 people, including an 11-year-old girl. But Nikki Haley doesn't show that now. Show those pictures, does she?
Nikki Haley.
No, show it. I was referring to the fact that she's so focused on an alleged chemical attack on Assad, but what has she said about the children in Stockholm that were killed? Nothing nothing at all.
Well, I mean, that's kind of an issue. I mean, she's trying to battle a bunch of issues. I mean, her job as the UN secretary.
Yeah, I get it, but
yeah, I mean,
you get the point.
Yeah, I mean, Syria is the bigger problem when it comes to like the world coalition coming together as what is a problem and what isn't. I'm pretty sure Syria is like the high on the priorities.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm just saying if she's gonna make this big point about the children, you know how Russia doesn't care about the children, her children. Bring up all the cases. Talk about the children that get raped to death by ISIS members, not just the alleged chemical attacks from Assad. That's my point.
It's not alleged. It's not alleged. It was caught on video. Actually, Credible Hulk just came on before you, and he said that there was video evidence of those airplanes filled with chemical weapons leaving those air bases that Trump did bomb. So
it just doesn't make sense to me why Assad, when he's winning the war, forcing ISIS and other Islamists back, why he would all of a sudden do that and turn the international community against him. I mean, I know he's an evil dictator, but evil dictators are focused on retaining power, and if they go too far out of line, they'll be gone.
I did ask him that, actually, and his response is if he does kill his own civilians, his own population becomes botched, and there's no more of it, and then all he's left with is his enemies, and it's very easy to drive out your enemies because what are the
But if you're bombing your own, if you're getting bombed, you may not say it directly, but you're not everybody. It comes out that Assad did it. He would just make enemies of more and more people. So we're getting off topic.
Yeah, we're getting off topic.
My bad. That's an issue.
It's fine. I mean, people are finding it interesting. But when it comes to nationalism, there's races all over Europe. There's France is becoming huge.
Ridiculous. They're ridiculous. The left is comparing Marine Le Pen to Golden Dawn in Greece. It's
That's funny.
That's freaking Golden Dawn. I assume you know who they are.
Yeah. It's these headphones look ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's okay.
No. But they compared her to Golden Dawn in Greece. In which manner? Like just in looks?
That her policies are like Golden Dawns in Greece.
Oh, I understand. But I mean that's pretty childish.
Well, they don't. Well, they have no arguments on the issue, so they just have to resort to racist this, homophobic that, Islamophobic this, anti-Semitic that.
Oh, and she did offer to meet with the a Muslim leader and representative
in Lebanon, but she didn't want to wear the medieval so they labeled her an Islamophobe. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're calling her Islamophobic and unreasonable when she was the one trying to find some sort of common ground and how to fix these issues, because I mean the whole world gets affected by one country's policies, and I think she did recognize that, and the response from the left was she was a bigot. And I think
these lying feminist scumbags really ought to be supporting her because she's not wearing a symbol of female oppression. Go ahead.
Yes, but with Sweden, how are the what are they called? The Democrats?
The Sweden Democrats?
The Swedish Democrats. How are they doing in the polls?
They're polling at record numbers after the attack. They're polling at 27.2%. That's about 4 points ahead of the Social Democrats, and about 8. I think it was like 8 points. I'd have to double check, ahead of the moderate party, the so-called conservatives.
Yeah. But wouldn't you say that they're kind of becoming opportunists at this? Because
No, because I would understand that, but the thing is, the Sweden Democrats have been consistently hammering consistently standing for this issue, looking to put Swedish people first on the issue of immigration. They've been doing this ever since Jimmy Akis and the leader has been doing this since the party was founded. And more Swedes are saying, "Oh, this guy was onto something."
And how does the Swedish election go? Do they become
They have a parliamentary system within a constitutional monarchy.
Okay. And is there any sort of like executive branch?
That's the prime minister's office.
Yeah. So this election that's being held next year, I believe.
Yeah, in September of next year.
Yeah. It's just election for parliament. How does that work?
So Sweden elects MPs in multi-member constituencies by the individual counties. And then within the big cities, it's more into divisions within these big cities. Right now, the Sweden Democrats would not have the majority, but the center-right Alliance for Sweden leader Anna Kinberg Batra has already said that it's quite likely that they'll have to go into coalition with the Sweden Democrats, so that a parliamentary majority actually is reality.
And okay, so I see. It's sort like kind of like what they have in Canada.
More of like Canada with a proportional system.
Okay. And what is the how many terms does the prime minister have and how many years?
They serve for 4 years.
Okay. And when is the next election?
September of 2018.
Oh, so okay. And do you know who's running with the Sweden Democrats?
Well, they elect their governments based on party leaders. So, in 2014, the Social Democrat leader Stefan Löfven was able to form a coalition with the Greens and support from the Left Party. And so it's by party leaders.
Who are these Greens that you keep mentioning?
Well, there's different Greens. The Dutch Green left is different from the Swedish Green. So actually, had a past of being anti-European Union.
So this is like, okay, the Greens in Sweden are cool, but the ones in Netherlands,
they're absolutely horrendous on immigration, and they mock. Or the Sweden's deputy prime minister, Mr. Isabella Löfven, a Green MP, went to Iran, mocked Trump for his anti-women stance in a hijab. So I gotta say, Isabella Löfven's quite the comedian. I mean, and that's the one thing she's good for.
All right, so we understand that the Greens are
they're good on the EU, and that's it.
Okay, so they're anti-EU. They're for Muslim immigration, and with the Netherlands, it's the same.
The Greens are staunchly they're Euro-federalist for mass immigration. They've held that position even through the attacks in Brussels, Paris, Stockholm, Berlin, Munich, you name it. So they're just out of touch elitists who never learn.
So if you had the power to decide what you would do about this refugee conflict in Sweden, because that's been like your big country, I believe that's where you're from.
I'm not from there, but
my
family is Swedish and Finnish.
Yeah, you descend from there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, and you were born in America?
Yes.
Okay, so you just got your accent from your parents.
Yeah.
All right. So if you were the prime minister and you, let's say, could control what the majority of parliament said, what would you do to solve this this refugee problem and Muslim immigration.
The migrant violence, as we see in like Stockholm, Malmo, Gothenburg, you name it. I hate to say this, but it looks like there's no other way other than to send military into these Muslim ghettos, because the police haven't been able to get it completely under control. The military needs to support the police on it. I hate to say it, but I fear that there's no other way.
And what about immigration as a whole? Because that's just solving Muslim, like in Muslim neighborhoods in general. That's just like solving the problem if it were to solve. Which I don't know too much about how that would work out, because do the Sweden police even carry handguns? Because the ones in Norway don't, and they just started now.
It's very limited what they have or what they can use in Sweden. And that's different. That's different in Finland. We can talk about that in a minute if you want. What I would do as it pertains to immigration, and what Jimmy's been advising is, so there is an increasing problem with unemployment in Sweden. It's not absolutely horrendous, but there's unemployment and a housing problem. I believe that Sweden is not in a position to be able to take immigrants right now, because my view on it is quite simple. You got to help those who are homeless in poverty first. Get like the old fashioned with like trade schools, that kind of thing. Get those people the skills they need to enter the job market. Once that's all carried out, then we'll talk about immigration again.
Okay, and with immigration, you would block all immigration.
Well, I believe, especially with the housing problem in Sweden, it's actually really, really bad, really bad. Sweden has to put her own people first.
Yeah, but we've seen in countries that do try. I wouldn't say this is population control, but it would affect the population. An economy needs people in order to sustain itself, and we've seen it. We've seen it in China. We've seen it in anywhere that has deterred. I think that's how you pronounce it. Deterred. And any kind of reflex of people coming into the country. That their economy has defecated, or I don't think that's what you said.
For example, the Japanese economy, it's not great right now, but it's getting better. But we don't even have to look to Asia. Countries like Poland, Hungary, the Czech Republic, and Slovakia, they've completely shut the door to Islamic immigration, and their economies are the fastest.
But that's Islamic immigration. I don't know if that's immigration as a whole.
Hungary the only, well, yeah, but I just view that you have to put your own people first, because the situation in Sweden with housing, unemployment, and not to mention the welfare state. If you're going to be able to sustain it, I am a pragmatist when it comes to this. We can't become this conservative. Sweden's not going to become this conservative paradise. If you want to sustain the welfare state, you have to make sure that it's used for only those who need it. All the Muslim immigrants who are on welfare, not contributing a thing to society, strip them of their welfare, and tell them either get a job or leave Sweden. You're an immigrant. You need to contribute to this society that graciously let you in.
And I just looked up the Hungary GDP, and what time did they close the door to immigrants?
Ever since the migrant crisis had started, the Prime Minister Orban has had a consistent stand against allowing these Middle Eastern refugees in.
Can you give me a date? Like what date?
The height of the migrant crisis.
Merkel
opened the door completely in August of 2015. Okay. Orban, in response, completely closed Hungary's borders.
Yeah, Hungary. Yeah, I guess then you're right, because the Hungary GDP seems to be doing well. Because there's been like no spike ever since they closed the door to the Islamic refugees. But I think that's it for now. But I'm just gonna ask you one more question. If there was one thing, if you could stand on a podium in front of the EU and not like not Kristen Stewart.
Why do I want to stand
Emma
in front
Wa-
of the EU? I want a gun.
Yeah, but we need a. I mean, the EU is kind of like the UN, no?
No, it is not. It is not, because the EU has a parliament that that passes laws. They require that nations take in a quota of migrants. They don't. It's not about control within the individual nation state. It's a vast Brussels bureaucracy. You see people who don't understand these 28 now 27 nations who have very different interests, financial policies, cultures, you name it.
All right. So thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Hope to see you soon. And hope you had a good time with your girlfriend.
Oh, thanks.
I'll see you around.
All right, see you, man. Bye.
All right. So, next up, we will be talking about. Well, I'll be getting rid of these headphones, but we'll be talking about something special soon, hopefully. But see you guys then, right here. Wait, no, that's not how it goes. That's not how it goes at all. But stay tuned for that right here on the show. See you guys then. That was much better. All right. Hello. Welcome to the Political 13-Year-Old Show. And